Good morning. I am coming to you this morning because I'm in a different mode. I just finished planting my direct seeded cool flowers. We still have not planted our transplants, and so the next job at hand is starting our new our new addition to our native border. So I want to just tell you a little bit about my native border and why we do it, and then I'm going to introduce you also to, I'm just trying to find a good spot out of the light here, y'all. I'm sorry I didn't even think about the sunshine this morning. I put these trailers of new plants and they're already cresting on the light. But before I start and show you those plants, I just want to first tell you why do I plant. Good morning, Kara. I just want to share why I plant a native border. Hey, Terry. You know, I know some of you may be aware, hey, Rhonda and Karen, my journey, and Mark, my journey with a native border started about, I started figuring this out about 5 or 6 years ago. And that was when I learned that the farm next door to me was going to be, it had been sold. And that I was going to be, or it hadn't been sold at that point, that it would be sold, and that we were going to lose the 150-year-old hedgerows next door, the 40 acres next door to me. And just a refresher, I'm in the middle of the city. My little urban farm was like in a utopia being next door to this farm. Good morning, Jamie. And I started really thinking about that and considering it and realizing that a lot of the reason that my success in my organic garden was in part due to those plants next door. Home base for all these wildlife creatures, beneficial insects, native bees. I mean, just the whole circle of life, the way the world was made to work, right? So I started just really thinking about that. And for those of you that are flower farmers, we know that there are certain flowers that we grow that are great cut flowers that hold up long, yada, yada, yada. And we realize just how much we do know about that when we start talking to people that either are new or are home gardeners and they have questions because they can't figure it out. Well, that's the way I felt about the native border. I thought, I can sit down and probably spend a long time really researching and figuring this out, or I can go to the horse, the person that knows the bottom line. And so I chose to go to a native plant landscape designer. Her name, and she's based here in Virginia, Gloucester, Virginia. Her name is Denise Green, Sassafras Farms, and she is amazing. Not only has she been a native plant grower for many years, she does lots of designs. So I called Denise and brought her over here and shared my dilemma of what was going to happen next door. And after both of us just about bawled talking about it, I can't tell you the flora on this farm next door to me. Oliver, the farmer that lived there, maintained the hedgerows. They were like 10 feet wide, and it was 40 acres divided up into 5-acre pastures, and each pasture had these amazing hedgerows. Well, tens of thousands of things lived in there, good and bad. So she made a plan for me, and the first planting was 3 years ago this fall. So I did a third then, well, I say a third. I did the first phase then. Then last fall, I did another side of the farm, and then this year I'm adding yet another area, plus I'm beefing up one side that needs to be more dense because I really don't want to see what's going on next door. So that's why I went to, and now, the planes are flying over and construction's going on, so I apologize, and I do have a list because I don't want to forget to tell you guys. So in addition to creating home base to support my organic farm, because they were all going to be losing their homes over there, and then you become aware of how much wildlife depends on that. So my goal has been to create a highway around my farm so that creatures can travel. You know what I mean? That there's not just a big island of good stuff out in the middle of a big green area, but they can actually move about, live in my farm. Good morning, Mark, is it raining down there? Round 2, I know, we're calling, I said earlier, excuse me, y'all, I have to pause and say this. I said at the very beginning of this recording that I just finished direct seeding my cool flowers. I haven't planted transplants yet, and I'm pretty sure they're all going to get washed away tomorrow. But you know what? You just replant, right? So I really wanted to create a highway. I want to create privacy on our farm because I am in the city. We get a lot of distractions from people driving by, and also I have all these houses coming. And the other thing, 2 other things is we do a lot of photography here on our farm, and this creates an excellent backdrop, right? And then it also creates a windbreak. Hey, Kathy Campbell. So it creates an awesome windbreak. So all of those things are going on. So I already told you about Denise. Now I'm going to tell you, before we start looking at plants, because then I'll get totally sidetracked. You know how that is. So I wanted to tell you, once I plant plants in this native border, we water them. We always plant in the fall, which is the best survival for trees, shrubs, and perennials. We water them in. Then they are on their own. They get absolutely no more support from us at that point in time. And why do we have such a great survival rate? Because I buy large plants. Y'all, life is too short. Do not buy little trees and shrubs. It just takes too long for them to grow. But in addition to that, bonus is that they have a much higher survival rate. Larger, more mature plants can take more abuse, and they can take deer damage. I'm going to try to walk the border with you in a minute. We'll see how the light's doing. There are a couple of species that I planted in the first phase that we won't plant again because the deer are so hard on them, even in spite that they were big plants. But big plants for trees and shrubs really help survival. So we plant in the fall. This will all happen. I go to Cincinnati to do a gig next week, and when I get home, I'm renting a dingo, funnest day ever. That's a machine that makes big holes to plant all these plants, and we'll water them, and then we start mulching. We use all leaf litter. We just go out and collect bags, and we make it about 12 to 15 inches deep. So that is another really great tip, and I'm going to turn this around because I want to walk over and look at, let me hit the right button. I almost hit finished. So I'm going to see if we can walk over here. I don't know what the light's doing. Well, we'll just go with it, right? I want to show you the perennials that I actually bought from, let me get on the other side so the sun is behind me. I bought a few perennials from Denise, who grows plants also in addition to being a designer. And, I don't typically grow perennials for my cut flower farming because we have such a battle with Bermuda grass here, and perennials require year-round space, and few of them are really worthy of the $1 per square foot to take that space. However, in my native border, they're welcome. So I did buy last year and add Joe Pye weed to our border. That is a gorgeous perennial, first off, y'all. And so I cut some and left the really big heads, which aren't very good for cutting, for the beneficial creatures. Well, I learned from Denise, another benefit of working with somebody that knows, there are like many other varieties of Joe Pye weed, and there happens to be 3 of them here. And no, I can't tell you the name of them right now because I only have the species names and I don't have them memorized, but here's a variety, and there's a variety over there. And she said that they bloom at a little different time, so that will help to spread out that bloom. Joe Pye weed is an excellent cut flower if you cut it early. What else I have here in the perennials, there are some awesome rudbeckias that perennialize. This is Rudbeckia maxima, I believe it's called, the giant rudbeckia. That's actually in Vegetables Love Flowers. It's the one that has the sombrera. The cone in the middle is about as big as my thumb. It is truly the most awesome flower ever. Our commercial customers really love it. But I want to just say this first about starting adding natives into your cut flower lineup. I take great care to not add flowers that have too much of a wildflower look into my mix. Those of us that are commercial cut flower farmers, we want our flowers to be of the top quality, but we also want them to look like cultivated flowers for the industry. I'm not talking about for your own home use. And so there are some rudbeckias that look a little weak, in my opinion, and some of those are the ones that have the droopy petals like some of the echinaceas do. In my experience, customers just think those look like old flowers, and that's not what I want to project. So there are many rudbeckias to choose from, but that's what I look for to add to my border, are those that I can also cut. And this Maxima is awesome. Then I also got some, there's several different varieties of goldenrod solidago, and so I have some of those. And then also she has Helenium, which is a gorgeous, good morning, Pamela. I can't wait for online school either. Today, by the way, is the closeout. This Helenium is solid yellow. We've always only been able to get seed of mixes, and so I was happy to purchase plants that have a yellow bloom, and they're just a great, great filler. So these are the perennials, and I'm going to walk back over here to the trailer. Those are the perennials that I'm going to be adding. So what you can see, and it's going to be kind of hard to see these, but I'm just going to tell you what the newbies are on these two trailers, and you can see these are decent sized plants. And what we are looking at there is, this is Eastern Red Cedar, which is not a newbie. We're just putting some more of those in. Carolina Allspice is Calycanthus, which is what this is. This is a low grower. And the other thing that Denise, being a native plant person, she knows what species of insects and birds benefit from these different plants. Like, for instance, we have a great population here, or we've been building our population of eastern bluebirds. And so I really wanted a lot of shrubs and plants that can feed them, right? A nice variety. Well, I can tell you 3 years in, we are overrun with eastern bluebirds. Nothing is more delightful because we offer them so many different berries. But what else is their main source of income, of food? Insects. So this is the benefit of all this, y'all. So that is Carolina Allspice. This is Red Twig, which most of us as flower farmers know that'll turn an awesome red color. Once winter comes and once the leaves fall off of it, that's when we use it for a cut flower. And I'm going to also stop right now and say something about the problem with trying to use shrubs in your landscape as cuts. If you don't maintain a plant, or any plant, a shrub or a perennial, as a cut flower producer, then oftentimes you have to deal with crooked stems and such. Meaning, let's just look at this red twig, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to be really cutting that. I only have like 6 plants there. I think we'll be adding more. If I want this in my native border, I have to leave some in the native border, right? To benefit the creatures that it attracts and supports. So when I cut, I'm going to try to focus on cutting 50% of stems on shrubs so that the regrowth on those shrubs will be strong, straight stems. But yet I'm still leaving some. So you just have to keep that in mind. And so this red twig dogwood, this is not the dogwood that flowers. This is a totally different variety, different animal. Those stems turn blood red in winter. They are just really gorgeous. So I'm looking at my list. We have some of this already planted. This is one of the native viburnums. This is Black Hall. And I will tell you, for anybody that's growing for cutting, the native viburnum arrowhead, I think it's called shoot, I should have written it down, sorry. There's none here. It's already planted out in the border. Produces the most beautiful blueberries in June that can be cut. We used them in a wedding for a friend my niece that got married here. It must have been the end of June. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And here's the other thing. There are native viburnums and there are non-native viburnums. Another gift of working with a designer. So yellow anise is this guy. We're always looking for evergreens, and this is an evergreen that will actually grow in shady conditions. I'm planting this behind my hydrangea grove in the back and underneath a big pine tree to create privacy and also to create a great photography backdrop. And apparently deer aren't real fond of it, so we'll see how that goes. So somewhere else here, this is Summer Sweet. Never grown this. This was totally her suggestion. So that's a new one for us. And then over here I have more southern wax myrtles, which is what this is. Bluebirds love these. So these will all be planted in about 2 weeks. Oh my goodness, I know y'all can't see this. I'm going to try to focus. My telephone pole has a bar at the top. There are 4 eastern bluebirds sitting up there watching me. I can hear them chirping. Oh my goodness. And that's what I do all this for. Not just that, but so let's see. Oh, I did want to also mention that we have a couple of free things on our website that you're welcome to go over and sign up for and get. One of it's thegardenersworkshop.com. I'm giving out free spring resources, a cheat sheet for cool flowers and some other great spring resources that you'll get when you sign up for our newsletter. And also, we are printing a 2019 catalog. And if you're not sure if you're on our mailing list, go and sign up for that. Go to the store, shop, and it's one of the choices there. Our mailing list has to go to the printer December 1st. So be sure you're on that list before then. So I'm gonna walk out, excuse me, to the front here. We're gonna be in bad sunlight for just a few minutes. So I do wanna just show you, you can see the size of these plants. Most of these are 3 gallon. There's a couple of 5 gallon in there. And I will tell you that Denise, I'm gonna walk out here to where our border starts and see if we can keep our Wi-Fi. Update on our Wi-Fi. So I now have great Wi-Fi on the back side of the building that I just walked from, but this side we've ordered a bigger booster because any of y'all were with us the other day when he was here testing, doing Facebook Lives. When I get to certain points, all of a sudden it says low connectivity. So it was on the outer limits of that for that one. So another one is ordered. So I still don't have it, but it is coming. Excuse me. So first off, here's a look of what things look like around here. This is all planted in either clover or winter rye. I did all that earlier this week, and there's the last sunflowers. And anyway, I just can't take my eyes. There are so many bluebirds here, y'all. I used to just have 1 or 2 here. This is just so amazing. So what I wanted to share, so this is the road right here. And I have started my native border. There's my home over there, and this is where Cool Flowers is. So I have planted an evergreen staggered border of southern wax myrtles. Southern wax myrtles are amazing for wildlife and beneficial insects. They have great berries. But they're also super hardy, and deer just seem, I shouldn't even say this because, of course they're going to eat them all now, but they haven't touched the myrtles. And they're I plant them so they don't ever have to be trimmed. So they run across the front of my property and they run across here. So I'm creating, a highway that creatures have somewhere to run from here to there to be able to get around. This backdrop you see is old. It's been here forever. Look at this eastern red cedar, which is huge. That's been planted here I mean, I would guess, 100 years, maybe not, maybe 60 or 70. So that is not on my that's in the right of way, which means that if the city decides to widen my road, I could lose that, but that's not likely. So I'm just walking along. This is created. Teresa, is this the only time the class will be offered? Teresa's asking about the Flower Farming School online, which the registration closes tonight at midnight. It's October 10th, 2018, and we will offer it again next fall. But when it closes tonight, that's it for this class. And I will tell you, we are so overwhelmed with the participation and excitement of Flower Farming School. Let me tell you what it is about online classes, because when I think of things, I can go back and update classes so that, and add bonuses and for things that I forgot or missed. That's the big benefit over learning in person and a recorded class. It is just so totally awesome. So to answer your question, Teresa, it will be offered next fall again. But I will tell you that this year is at an introductory offer price. It may go up just because production costs. Flyovers, we're in the jet path. We're surrounded by military bases, so we get lots of super duper planes. So Kathy, deer are a challenge here as well. Thanks for the tips. You're welcome. So I'm walking along. I've never been able to go this far before, y'all. So we're walking out to the edge. Y'all see that orange? That's the silk cloth of next door. So I'm just gonna name some of the varieties of things that we have here. And you can see we're not real big on, big time weeding, although there's the problem. There's more of that Japanese grass weed. And I will spot treat with herbicide for plants like that, and I did that yesterday, as in fact. So these are the viburnums, that's the black haw that I'm planting more of. That's deciduous. Look at that cypress tree. Oh, it's saying low connectivity. I can't get that close, y'all. I'm like I'm on a leash. Look at that beautiful cypress tree. This was planted 3 years ago. This fall, right now, 3 years ago, and it was the same size plants that you saw, like 3 to 7 gallon and 15 gallon. And I wanted to tell you the tip that Denise shared with me. She doesn't recommend buying trees any bigger. Oh, there you go. Rhonda's telling us what it is, stilt grass. And I did wipe it yesterday. I walked around the yard looking for it, to treat for it. Anyway, Denise's tip was to plant 15-gallon trees. They come in a 15-gallon pot. Anything bigger than that you can't handle. And that's what that cypress tree was, and that maple that you see right there. And also, yes, that is goldenrod, and that's the pushy, common native one, and it can be pretty aggressive, but we don't mind that. You can see that was one little plant just 2 years ago. It's pretty spread out there. So these are right here dead in front of me. There's a tree in the back, which you can see just the top of it. That's southern wax myrtle. Those are 3 years old from a 3-gallon pot. I just really love that plant. It is open and loose, and it's just really beautiful. Let's see how far it's gonna let me go. And I will tell you the other thing that she did. She made a 50-foot plan, and then it just repeats. I see so many birds jumping around in the background here. A 50-foot plan, and then it's just repeated over and over again. There's an eastern red cedar in the background, and if somebody can correct me, I don't know if these are service berries. I'm just waiting to see if the Wi-Fi is going to drop me. If these are service berries or chokeberries, because one or the other, I see some little native bees here. One or the other, the deer decimated. I mean, they didn't eat it, they rutted it, rubbing their antlers and just killed them. But, so I'm not sure which one that is. I'd have to look at my plant. I am almost sure that these are chokeberries. Anyway, and this is a weed tree that I have to get out. Denise told me to get that out of there. She told me what it was. More goldenrod, maple tree. The thing about what people don't understand is one oak tree supports like 480 native creatures, whether it be insects or birds. What does a crepe myrtle that we also often hear in the South, we see them, what do they support? Zero. They are not native. They provide a branch for a bird to land on. But there are also native trees that bloom and are beautiful. So I was so surprised by that when I learned about that. So that's the big thing about natives, y'all. Native plants support native insects, birds, everything. Things that are supposed to live in your area. When we plant non-natives, they have nothing to eat. That's why we lose species of birds in specific areas, because all of a sudden they have no food source, okay? So anyway, so walking on here. So that's a October Glory maple, which is really beautiful. And I will tell you that down there, that thing you see sticking up high, oh, Wi-Fi's yelling at me. That is a black gum tree, which that's not the gumball tree that makes gumballs. It's the black gum that is really beautiful. So I'm going to just try to walk. Loblolly pines are another great one, and they grow really fast. I just want to get down here to this, and then I'm going to have to let you all go because my phone is screaming at me. That loblolly, that's a telephone pole next to that, which is like 20 feet or so. That loblolly is 3 years old. Bees do love the white crepe myrtles. Good nectar source in late summer. Okay. Honeybees, right, Mark? Not native bees? Well, I guess maybe they might get on there too. Interesting. There is, I'm watching a little warbler flit around in here. This is a black gum. And my phone is really, really screaming at me about the internet. Now I'm kind of trapped over here. I wanted to get down here to this last Rudbeckia, which is kind of done. Yes, I put up bluebird houses. Hello, sweet friend. Jenny and I grew up next door to each other, well, a few houses down. The picture I posted on Facebook, I think, of me when we were going to school, standing at the bus, she was one of those. So yeah, she is one of my sweet friends from days gone by, and still is. So this Rudbeckia right here, I'm afraid to walk any closer. I think it's called threadleaf or the yellow coneflower. That is really, we do use that for a cut, and it is covered in bees. I can just see them buzzing around. So these are all the reasons that I plant native plants. And the secret is plant in the fall, buy the biggest plant you can afford. And there is one of the plants that I told you I wouldn't be planting anymore. If you can see it right dead in front of me, those evergreen large leaves, that is a magnolia, the native virginiana, and it's gorgeous, it's evergreen, but the deer will not leave it alone. I mean, finally this year it grew up big, and now they're just decimating it. And you know, if I had time, I'd do something about that. But anyway, so our border goes all the way around, way back there to the end of our property, and I'm adding all those plants over there. I'm walking to get closer to the Wi-Fi. My phone says not connecting. So we're starting over there, and it's just really an exciting time, and putting some more back there. You can see the construction trucks. Those wax myrtles were planted last year, so they will really have a great cover by next year. You can see my beautiful goldenrod over there. So I just wanted to come to you guys this morning and share about native plants. I personally never understood just why they were so dadgum important. And it's not that you need to rip out your landscape and replace it with native plants. The point is, when you want to add to your landscape, you need to consider native plants. There are so many out there now, and they feed our native birds and native insects, and it just makes a huge impact on where they can go. You know, I mean, when they don't have a home base and something to eat, they leave. So it's a really big part of helping us to restore that. So we're walking along. These are old this is the sunflowers. This all for when the hurricane was supposed to have come, and we just abandoned a lot of stuff. And these are the last zinnias. I don't know if you can really see them. They're kind of a mess. I've left them up because we still have lots of visitors to the flowers. And so Jenny asked, do we put up bluebird houses? We do. And we get babies every year. We chew a couple of clutches even. And so we just try to help. In Vegetables Love Flowers, my latest book, I talk about that. Actually, my bluebirds are featured in that book in the back. And we talk about that and other things you can do to provide for them. And so anyway, it's been great talking to y'all this morning, and I'm just really excited to, it's a little cloudy, can y'all see? So you can see my 2 trailers of plants. Last year, I planted more than this by myself, by hand. It wasn't that bad, but this year that is not happening. I just have too many jobs to do. So I'm going to rent the dingo, and I am certain my sister will do a Facebook Live. Anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's like you stand on it, and it's motorized, and it has a big auger on the front, and it digs like a hole in a second. It's the funnest thing. It's the funnest piece of equipment I've ever used. So look forward to that in a couple of weeks, and we'll be looking at where we're planting. So hey, thank you, Cara. Love the tour. You're welcome. And I can't wait for my Wi-Fi to be fixed so I don't have to constantly worry about that. And I look forward to showing you guys. And hey, Flower Farming School registration closes tonight at midnight, and I am just so stoked over how that's all gonna fall out, and to spend time with all these people. And so there's our jet friends. They're the brothers. There's 2 of them just like that. They actually are subcontractors. They're not in the military, and they fly over several times every day. So hey, till we meet again, ciao.